Hello, welcome again to Tuesday Tip. I'm Dr. Bill Waggoner, and today I'd like to continue talking about some tips for placing stainless steel crowns. Last week I gave you 5 tips on general issues on placing stainless steel crowns, but today I'd like to talk a little bit about placing stainless steel crowns in areas of space loss. So the first tip I can give you is try to identify the challenging situations early on. Look before you start. Do I have space loss? And am I going to be restoring 1 or 2 of these teeth? Because if you're going to restore 1, in my opinion, it's usually a little bit easier. When you're restoring 2, it becomes a little bit more challenging. But you have to ask yourself, am I even going to be able to restore this first primary molar? And do I really think I can fit a crown on it? Because personally, there have been times over the years when I have worked to try and fit a first primary crown when there's been space loss, and after like 15 minutes, like, why in the world didn't I just go ahead and extract this tooth and do a space maintainer? But I've already done the pulp and I've already worked on it for a long time and I'm almost there, but in retrospect it's like I should have just planned the extraction. Second tip is realize when you have space loss that you're almost certainly going to be doing a lot of circumferential reduction. It's not your typical stainless steel crown prep. You're going to be doing especially a lot of buccal reduction, and if you're talking about a first primary molar, you're probably going to be removing that mesiobuccal bulge and getting maybe buccal and lingual reduction in addition to the mesial distal reduction that you normally do. Tip number 3, realize that you will almost certainly be going to adjust the shape of your crown. Now, historically, I've loved using the Howell pliers to squeeze it mesial-distally, which makes it more narrow mesial-distally and expands it buccal-lingually. You can also use a 137 plier, which gives a really nice contour, given a small squeeze, and still get the same kind of result. So Howell pliers 137, the whole idea is to change the shape of the crown. Tip number 4, even after reshaping by squeezing, you still may need to flatten the contact, particularly the distal contact of the D's and the mesial contacts of the E's, in order to further get a little bit more reduction in size of your crown. Again, you can do that. Usually the easiest thing to do is use a Howell plier to flatten that contact. Tip number 5, when you have a lower D or first primary molar with a lot of space loss, oftentimes using the opposite side upper D crown will be a better fit than a lower D crown. So let's say you're doing tooth number L, you've got a lot of space loss. Use a crown for tooth B to fit in there, and many times it goes on so much more quickly than trying to fit that lower D crown on there. Just make sure that you record in your notes that you actually used an upper crown for the lower tooth, so that when you come to that 6 months or a year later and you look in there and say, man, I must have been having a hard night the night before because I didn't even realize I'd put in an upper crown on a lower tooth. So always record when you do something out of the ordinary. Tip number 6. Now, I haven't done this personally myself, but I've seen it written up. And that is when you've got an upper D with a lot of space loss, I've seen people recommend that you use a lower D crown, but you rotate it 90 degrees when you put it on. So like the mesial surface of the crown becomes the buccal surface. The pictures of it that I've seen looks pretty weird, but the fact that you have a narrower now mesial-distal for that upper and a wider buccal-lingual, it seems to work. Again, I've not tried it. Maybe one of you will try it. Send me a picture if you do. So as I mentioned last week, New Smile has stainless steel crowns. At $3 a crown, they're less expensive than their competitors. They use a surgical grade stainless steel. The micro hardness is greater than the micro hardness of the stainless steel used by 3M crowns. So they're very wear resistant. If you'd like more information, feel free to call NewSmile or go to the website, newsmile.com, and you can get more information about the stainless steel crowns. As always, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful week, and if you still got holiday shopping to do, you better get to it. See you next week.